Okay, how many over a year? Okay, so a lot of new realtors. Okay, perfect. So you guys come to the right audience. That's great. So let me go ahead and get started here. Let's make sure this is going to work. Boom. All right. So what does a $5 bill have to do with how to explode your business? Well, I'm glad you asked. So let me share a quick story. So at a fine dining restaurant, a guy named Fred walks into the men's restroom. And he notices a guy named Bill standing in front of the stall. And Bill's really, really frustrated. And he's sitting there and he's kind of contemplating. And he's like pacing back and forth. He's like, oh, man. And then finally Bill notices Fred's there. He looks at Fred and he's like, looks back at the urinal. And he has managed to drop a $5 bill inside the urinal. So it's like, what do you do? Without hesitation, he reaches into his pocket. He grabs a $50 bill and tosses it into the urinal. And Fred's sitting there going, what the heck did you do that for, right? And he goes, he looks at the urinal, he looks back at Fred, he goes, well, come on, man, you don't think I'm going to stick my hand in there for $5? Now, that's a short little story, but it says everything about how to explode your business. And so when you think about it, if you are very clear on why you're going to do something, if you are, if the stakes are high enough, you'll get yourself to do things that you would not normally do. And in talking to thousands of people around the world and a lot of real estate people, it's that mindset right there where you got to start. It's like, what do you want to achieve as a real estate professional, as a business owner? One of the hardest transitions that I find most realtors have to make is to go from what they were doing, which is sometimes, most of the time, working for somebody, into becoming a realtor, is that mindset shift to now you are an actual business owner. You're 100% responsible for your economy. And the more clarity you get on why and where you want to go, the easier it's going to be to do the things that are uncomfortable. And so I have two outcomes today. Number one is I'm going to share with you 3 ways to explode your real estate business. And for the sake of time, I'm going to talk very fast. And we're going to record this. Everything's good to go there? Okay? I'm going to record this. We're not going to pan the audience. Does anybody have any issues with me recording this today? No? Good, because I'm going to give you a copy of the recording. All right? And I will talk a lot really, really fast because of the sake of time. Next is, at the end of my talk, I'm going to give you an opportunity to mentor with me in a program that I spent the last 20 years designing and finally launched it. Right? It's one of those legacy programs that are going to last for the next 25, 30 years of my life, God willing. And so none of you have heard me speak before, except you two. So a little bit about my background. When I was age 17, I lived behind this house. I was homeless living behind this house on 40th Avenue and East 14th Street in Oakland, California. Pretty safe neighborhood, right? No. I was heavily addicted to drugs, dropped out of high school, and really had no family background of success. In fact, nobody at that time had ever graduated from high school on both my mom and dad's side. Had no avenue of success. But yet, September 24th, 2010, the Sacramento Business Journal put me in the center page as one of the fastest growing companies. Previous year was number 10, this year was number 26. Was the economy good in 2010? No. It was very, very bad. In fact, Sacramento produces this top 100 fastest growing companies list every year, and this particular year they can only find 75. That's how bad the economy got. And they wanted to know how I grew a business in 2007, 8, and 9. This is kind of blurry, I don't know why. And grew at 63%. And I said, you know what? It was because I was very clear on what I wanted and where I wanted to go, and then I surround myself with an unbelievable team of people. What literally got me from here to here was this guy right here, a guy named Dave Vanny. I started mentoring with Dave in February of 1996 all the way through 2006, and he taught me business principles, how to sell, how to contact people, how to navigate that whole minefield of, you know, I have no background of success, I can't achieve this, I can't do this, to, hey, you know what, it doesn't really matter where you've come from, it only matters where you're going. Now, here's the point of sharing that. How many of you understand that today is the first day of the rest of your life? And one of the things I learned from this is, let me ask you this question, honest question. Can you get much lower than homeless? Sure you can. You can be 6 feet under the ground. And I learned from him through mentoring with Dave that as long as I'm vertical, I can change my circumstance. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is you're here. And as long as you're present here, my encouragement to you today is be present for the next 15, 20 minutes. The stuff I'm going to share with you, you're going to be able to take action on today. You're not going to have to get in touch with me. You're not going to have to buy a program or any of that stuff to get the rest of the story. I'm going to give it to you step by step. You don't even have to contact me after this. You're going to have everything that you need, the 3 literal keys to explode your business. And so let's talk about what we came here to talk about. First way to explode your business is the inner game, which has to do with our mindset. If you have never read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, highly recommend you go get that book. It's all about mindset. There has not been a book that profound released in all those years until Grant Cardone released the book called The 10X Rule. And I highly recommend you get the audio version of that because you get all the ad-libbing stuff, right? But it's all about mindset. It's all about getting your head right and really telling yourself, hey, you know what? I can accomplish it. I can succeed. And by working with Dave and changing that about my mindset, I was able to go from homeless, drugs, just broke, right, to building $3 million businesses back to back. And it's not that I did anything great. It's just that I changed my mindset. And I worked a lot in that area. Next, we're going to talk about the outer game, and this has to do with your systems. Because you're only one person. And at some point, if you take enough action over time, you're going to max out. And you're going to need to leverage yourself with systems and automation in order to take on more homes. The average realtor, according to the National Association of Realtors, in 2016 sold 12 homes. Okay? Last year that number's not quite out yet. But they sold 12 homes. That was the average realtor. In Sacramento right now, if you want to qualify, most people want to qualify for the Masters Club. That is like the first major step, right? First I want to just sell a home. You just got to sell a home, right? And then ultimately you want to qualify for Masters Club. Well, that's 8 homes that are closed and a combined total of $5 million in production or 20 closed-in deals. And so we're going to talk about how you can set up systems to where you can hit that over and over and over and over again. Finally, you can have the best mindset in the world. You can have the mindset of Michael Jordan. You can have the systems of a Michael Dell. But at the end of the day, if you can't get your butt to take action, none of it matters. How many of you would agree with that? Right? Okay? So let's talk about the inner game, which has to do with mindset. And one of the mindsets of a champion is that there's always room to grow. How many of you would agree with that statement? Good. How many of you believe right now, be honest with yourself, that you have potential inside of you right now to perform at a higher level than the level you've been performing at? Me too. Me too. And so let me share with you a story about a client of mine, Deborah Scarpa. Deborah and I started working together in April of 2014. She'd been in business for 22 years at that point, but she was stuck. She couldn't get beyond a certain income level. And she came to me and we started working together. And then about two and a weeks into the conversation, I realized Deborah had a resistance to sales. It really, really bothered her. And she was using things like, I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to offend people. I don't want to be that, right? And so let me ask you a question. What do you think of when you think of a salesperson? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of a salesperson? Anybody? Car dealer, car lot, pushy, right? Fast talker, slick, liar. I had one lady say scum of the earth one time. I'm like, whoa, right? But Deborah had the same thought. It's like, hey, you know what? I don't want to be that person. And I said, I totally get it. And the thing I told Deborah is like, you know what? It's not your fault. I mean, if you think about it, in society today, there's a stigma to salespeople. We don't want to be that person. It usually starts off early. Now, the cool thing is we're naturally born salespeople. Try to tell a 2-year-old no. And it's just not going to happen, right? They're going to keep coming back over and over and over again, but at some point along the way, we maybe witness our parents buying a car and getting pushed around by a salesperson, or if you're from my generation, you get that phone call at 6 o'clock at night while the family's having dinner, and you don't want to be that person. So I told Deborah, I says, I totally get it, and understand it's not your fault. This is, society has made us this way. But the good news is you're not stuck there. The challenge is if you can't get over your fear, your resistance to sales, it's going to affect your performance and it's going to affect your production. So I said, you know what we got to do is we got to give you a new script in your head about what it means to be a salesperson. Because guess what? You're a business owner. Even though you're highly, highly analytical, you have 3,000 clients, you're not going to grow if you don't know how to sell. So I said, let's give you a new definition. Let's use what Napoleon Hill in his 4th chapter of that book called auto-suggestion is the technique. And that's saying to yourself something over and over and over again until it becomes a habit, until it really reprograms your subconscious mind. And so what I told her is this, I said, here's your new definition of sales. And it goes like this. Selling equals service, sell from honesty, integrity, and compassion. Selling is about leading. Selling is about moving people to action. So let me repeat that again so you can write it down. Selling equals service, sell from honesty, integrity, and compassion. Selling is about leading. Selling is about moving people to action. Okay? Has everybody got that written down? Mm-hmm. Okay? Let's just get one rep in real quick together. You ready? Selling equals service. Sell from honesty, integrity, and compassion. Selling is about leading. Selling is about moving people to action. Okay? So I gave her that definition. I said, hey, here's what I want you to do. It's very simple. I want you to write this down on several 3x5 cards. I want you to put this on your bathroom mirror. I want you to put it on your monitor at work. I want you to put it on your refrigerator. I want you to put it everywhere you spend time. Sun visor in your car. And every time you see it, I want you to say it out louder to yourself 10 times. Or not 10 times, but I want you to say it out louder to yourself when you see it. And your goal is 10 times a day. That's your goal. Can you do that? She said, yeah. And I said, I want you to do it for 30 days. Can you do that? She said, yeah. And I said, will you do that? That's a bigger question, right? She said, yes. So now she's accountable. So I catch up with her in a couple of weeks, and guess what? She was a lot more comfortable with talking to people about her business and her product. And guess what? Her income jumped $2,000 within a month. And then it jumped another $2,500 the next month. And then it jumped another $1,980 the third month. And she was right at, so we're going into July, and I said, this month you're going to break this number. And she said, no way, I've never in my entire 22 years in business earned that kind of money. And I said, you're going to do it. So here we are, July 31st at 8:35 in the morning. She sends me a text. She goes, I did everything you said, and it's not going to happen. I'm like, hey, are you there? Yeah, it's 8:30 in the morning. You got till 5, so I'd recommend you get to work, right? So at 4:36 in the afternoon, she texted me, she said, we did it, oh my God, we exceeded it by $580. And you talk about high five and everything else. Now, what's the biggest value there? The fact that she hit the number? Or the fact that she had a mindset shift and she has that skill for the rest of her life? And so I caught up with her about a year ago, and her business is 20 times where it was when we were working together. And so mindset is one of those things, if you have a resistance to sales, I would recommend you do exactly what I gave Deborah to do, is write that script down. Put it in places where you can see it. Now, it wasn't just changing her mindset that got her there. I had to add skill set to it, obviously, right? Hard work. How do you contact somebody? How do you generate leads? How do you set appointments? How do you run them? How do you close them? I had to obviously add that type of skill to that mindset, but the combination was perfect, right? But more importantly, you ask her definition of a salesperson today, she'll say it's me. She's not embarrassed at all because she likes the result, okay? And this is the biggest thing that separates the people that produce at a high level in real estate from those that don't, is the fact that they need that mindset breakthrough, okay? So Steve Young says, outside stuff never did affect me very much because I'm basically driven from within. I don't like to compete against others. For me, it's about self-improvement and being better than I was the day before. Hall of Fame champions, people that perform at a higher level, people that achieve unbelievable things, realize that, hey, you know what? It's not about me competing against others. It's about me competing against who I was yesterday. And as long as I can give myself a clean slate every day and take one step forward, I can achieve that success, okay? And so for the sake of time, I'm going to stop it right there.